Why are you interrupting my lunch? I'm on break. I'm on break, Stephen. I'm here in Reno. I've counted 12 teeth amongst 3 women. Actually, that's not true. I haven't even seen any women. I'm out here bowling. I mean, shooting bowling. Okay, bye.
Hey, Steven, do you know what time it is for me here in Reno, Nevada?
Well, it is 9:42 here, so I'm going to guess it is 6:42 a.m.
Nope, it's 6:42 a.m. Yeah, I actually woke up at 4 a.m. I went to bed at 10, and then I woke up at 4, and I went back to sleep just because, I don't know, just to get some extra sleep. I'm out here in Reno for the PBA event. I also don't want to be too loud because I don't know if other people are sleeping because they're probably sleeping in other hotel rooms, and I could hear them last night.
What were they doing?
Absolutely nothing. Probably on the phone. Like,
Nothing. Working.
No good sounds. No good sounds. There was nothing. But you should see this chair behind me. They have the biggest, there's like a cuck chair, hotel room cuck chair thing.
Hey-oh, who wants to watch?
Dude, there is like a love seat cuck chair that has wheels and shit. It's like what happens in Reno is I don't know. I don't know what happens in Reno because Reno is probably a really shitty place to be.
Well, you are in Nevada, so.
Yeah. That is true. But no, I saw at the airport a lot of people with their skis because we're really close to ski country, USA or whatever. But I am here for PBA bowling. I am recording or filming for the show that I've been talking about for years. We have a main shooter here. We have a producer. I'm a field producer and a shooter as a second camera. And due to budgets, like for the first season, like we did sell the show and there's a certain budget that we have to stay within. And I'm still not saying where it's going yet, but there's a budget and budgets are compared to what we do for YouTube videos, budgets are big, but our budget isn't big at all for doing a docu-series show right now. So it's like you have to make compromises and can't send as many people and you have to run and gun it. All Sony stuff. I'm out here with an R1. I didn't put the new firmware on there because I didn't want to brick my camera just in case when that new firmware was announced. But the overheating thing did come on. When I went into 120 is when it got to the yellow because 120 is going to use a hell of a lot more. But I used mostly 60 and 24.
But that is the one thing that we brought up that we want fixed in future firmware updates for Canon is that overheating warning because it shows up way too early.
Well, that's what's fixed in the firmware that just came out.
Exactly. It makes you assume that it's going to overheat when you just started using the camera. But in reality, you have probably a good hour until it overheats. So,
yeah. Now, the reason I'm doing this at 6:30 in the morning is because we have a call time at 8 o'clock. We have to go film with Jason Belmonte as he prepares for his day, the big day. They've been here for 3 weeks, and today is when the top 16 bowl. And they go head to head, and the person with the most the top 5 make it onto the TV show for the $100,000. So like this is a big deal.
The big show.
So we'll be following and embedding with Jason Belmonte. We were with EJ Tackett before. We did Jesper Svensson. It's kind of fun. Like anybody that I talk to or show some of the bowling stuff that we've done that doesn't know anything about bowling instantly gets interested in following along because that's the whole point of a docuseries is you start to follow along and get interested in the people that you're interested in, and now you have a rooting interest.
Of course.
Anyway, that's what I'm doing out here. A couple more days of shooting, but there's a few things. Okay, here's what we're going to talk about today. Me being a menace on the squash court, getting reprimanded. I had to pee on the airplane before it landed, getting reprimanded. And
all very important topics.
Very important topics to talk about. Fuji came out with a new camera that I didn't know about because we're not on their list or in their good graces. Both Sony and Canon have teasers for new cameras, and we will get into all of that. But let's talk about Jared being a menace on the tennis court. Did you read what I wrote?
I read some of it, but I kind of saved it for the show.
All right, because let me explain to you. I go to a gym that has squash courts. I also signed up for a squash club.
The bougiest gym ever.
Well, yeah, my gym is bougie. It's in the Bellevue Hotel.
How much is it a month again?
It's $200 a month. It's $199, Stephen. Plus like a $425 initiation fee if you go not at a time when they're running a deal. It is what it is, but it actually keeps the riffraff out, Stephen. We don't want that purple fitness
Globo gym,
which I'd be perfectly fine going to a $10 a month gym just for working out. This was more social, as I told you. Plus, it has squash. I've been getting much better at squash since November because I started in November, and I'm getting better, and I'm getting a coach and all of this. And at the gym, it's not like the most extravagant squash club. It's not the greatest courts in the world. There's like a squash instructor or the head of the squash, and she and I don't get along. Not get along, but there's some friction there.
You don't get along with a woman? That's so weird.
I wouldn't get along with her counterpart if it was a man too, Stephen. It's just that there's certain tendencies that you have to get used to that people do, like calling you loves and my loves, and it's just like I don't like that type of talk personally. It's fake to me, and I don't like fake. Regardless, I've been playing squash there, and there's the thing called a box league. A box league is where there's multiple boxes, and they put different skill level players in the boxes, so like skilled in the same similar boxes. And I show emotion out on the squash court. I may have spiked my racket before, getting frustrated.
Angry.
But frustrated is the word. Let me read what she said. Greetings, Jared. Please see the information regarding our current box league. As for your sportsmanship, I do hope you will continue to follow SCB protocol, which I don't even know what SCB protocol is, so I emailed back. And
Squash court something.
Fuck that. Please be advised, if your performance becomes impacting on an unprofessional level, I will have to remove you from the box league. Appreciate you being mindful.
If you're a sore loser, you shouldn't play.
Thank you. Many warm blessings. So, words like mindful and warm blessings and greetings are fucking bullshit.
Such a passive aggressive email. I love it.
Let me explain to you. The word that she used here, sportsmanship, is the wrong word to use because my sportsmanship is perfectly fine. I'm not in there. I'm not a sore loser. When I lose, I don't sit there and go, fuck you, you suck, you should have lost. I internalize that stuff. It's true. There's a difference. My sportsmanship is fine. I get frustrated and angry at myself.
I still think that's considered being a sore loser, though.
A sore loser is when you don't shake hands with the other opponent. A sore loser is when you don't say good shot. A sore loser is when you don't acknowledge that the other player has skill. Occasionally there's a lucky hit. If I make a lucky hit, a miss hit, I sit there and I'm like, sorry, that was a miss hit. That wasn't whatever. And they do the same thing. But
I just think it's in general someone who gets upset when they lose.
I get upset because I'm very passionate and I want to play well. I get frustrated if I don't play well, but I'm not my sportsmanship is fine. So I show emotion on the court. She keeps throwing at me there's squash etiquette. And decorum. I'm like, you can take your decorum and shove it up your ass. I don't care about your decorum. I'm like, I'm here to play and have fun. It's like a fun thing. And yeah, do I take it more? You know how I am with everything. I get competitive and I show my emotions, but I'm not yelling at other players.
Yeah, I think some people just want to simply play a game and have fun and let loose, and you take it very seriously as a sport.
You know what I call them? Pussies.
You're just very competitive. You are extremely competitive.
You blame my dad. I don't blame my dad.
I 100% blame your dad.
We were brought up. So what we were always told is if you play to win.
If you're not first or last,
and you give your all every time you're out there. There is no on and off switch, or there is no dial it down. Now, if I'm playing someone who isn't very good, I will hit the ball back a certain way so that they can keep returning it. And I don't care if I win or lose points in that case. But when it comes to the competition part, I want to win. I want to play well. So anyway, I've been warned. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to come up with a different word than fuck. I haven't said the cunt word at all when I'm there.
That I'm surprised about because that is usually your scream word.
And I can't say cocksucker because I'm playing a bunch of gay guys, so I make sure not to. But what I will tell you is that there's a really good group of people there, most of them that I enjoy hanging out with that are fun. I mean, the one guy, I was talking to him about girls the other day. He's like, I can't relate. I'm like, it's the same. You're married to a guy. He's like, but I'm married to my best friend and I get to marry them. I'm like, well, that's no different than if I met a girl that was my best friend and I got to marry. He was like, yeah, but it's a guy. I'm like, but that's because you like guys. I don't like guys. No, really, I like the group of people. I fit in pretty well with most of them. I don't fit in well with all of them. Because you know how I am.
I mean, it's expected.
I'm a prickly prick.
Yeah. To put it mildly.
So yeah, my decorum, I don't care about decorum. Because she would say things like you shouldn't do that. I'm like, do what? She's like, that's not squash decorum. I'm like, is it illegal in the game? She's like, no. I'm like, then fuck off. Like, if it's not illegal to do what I did, then fuck off.
Man, you're at a bougie gym. You need to do that. You need to deal with the bougie etiquette.
I am not a bougie bitch. I wear purple.
I'm just saying, you're surrounding yourself with bougie people.
Not everybody's bougie, but I do prefer going to that gym than Purple Fitness. But I don't mind Purple Fitness. That's because Purple Fitness doesn't have squash or a sauna or any of that. Can I move on from this? It's not about me, Steven.
I love that we have all these topics to talk about and we go on for 15 minutes about squash.
True. Anyway, people want to hear what people want to hear. They were upset you weren't on last week. Only half of the people. Oh, I was supposed to announce Joel Contreras texted in and won a fro pack. Joel Contreras.
Congratulations.
You won a fro pack.
You get a fro pack. You get a fro pack.
No more. Only one, Steven,
Just
not
kidding.
3.
Oh, excuse me.
The other people, you can text in, but you know what? Text us in with questions because it's actually a really good place for us to respond, which I've talked about before, because it's the only place that you can actually get directly to us easier when we're checking it. Speaking of getting reprimanded ×2, I'm on the airplane flying from Philly to Phoenix. And, you know, I got to pee sometimes because I drink a lot of water. But it was coming up on that time where they were getting ready for landing, but only in like 15, 20 minutes. And I must have missed the announcement where they're like, now would be the time to use the bathroom or whatever. So I'm in my seat, a flight attendant goes by and I said, am I still able to go to the bathroom? Right there. And she's like, yes, no problem. Go ahead. So I get to the front of the plane and I get there and this flight attendant, I was like, go to the bathroom. She's like, I'm sorry, it's locked already. The pilot already made an announcement. I'm sorry. I'm like, the other lady said, whatever. So I go back to my seat I really had to pee. And then the other lady comes back that said I could go. And she's like, we checked with the pilot. Everything's fine. You can go now. And I just ignored the other lady who said no. And it really comes down to like, sometimes you want to do something and sometimes they don't. She could have easily have said, yes, go ahead. Right? Like, yes, go pee. It wasn't like we were imminently landing or anything. She was just being a bitch.
Abusing her power.
Exactly. And she did it when the guy, I was sitting in a middle seat in the bulkhead, like row 8, because I had to get my 36-minute connecting flight. So I didn't want to be in the back of the plane. So I took a middle. The guy next to me who gets on the plane late puts his Adidas bag. Yes, I have to tell you exactly what it was. His duffel bag up above. And she comes around to close it. And she tries twice. It doesn't close. Then she moves this. And she's like, who put this bag here? and I turned and I looked at the guy and I pointed at him. And I was like, it was you, when the girl walked away. And he was funny. Guy covered in tattoos, really cool guy. He was fun to talk to. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, she might have woken up on the wrong side of the bed today. I was like, yeah, probably. But that was the woman who said I couldn't go pee. And then I could go pee.
Great story. Awesome story.
Let's get into...
Please move on.
Actually, no. So I actually had a little anecdote about that. No. This is photo related. Like when something's about to close, when I used to work at the camera store, I remember you want to leave when the camera store is closing. That's just, you pull the gate down. I remember at Ritz Camera, you'd pull the gate down or you'd get ready and then someone would come in last second, stand outside and be like, can I do this? And it's like, you're like, well, the gate's already closed, but you feel like a dick. It was like, what do you need? And if it's something quick, you're like, come on, we'll get it. Except even there, we were already counted out the drawer.
I was just going to say, the drawers are usually counted by then and you can't reopen the store.
But I figured, I've like, screw it. I'm going to do it and we'll fix it tomorrow. I rather do better customer service than not. But I bet you Ritz Camera would yell at me for doing something like that. But I remember at Alan's Camera, like if Alan was about to close and someone was late and to be like, what do you need? As long as you're not coming to shop, you're coming to buy something real quick. You just need
exactly
to pick up a
what you
roll.
want. Yep.
Right. You need to drop something off. You need to pick something up. It's like, sure, no problem. Let's get it. It's better customer service.
Of course.
Anyway, that's that story. Now let's move on to why Steven wasn't here last week.
Longest week and a half ever for me. I got basically my entire house painted for the most part, minus 1 or 2 rooms. Just prepping for the painters was a pain. We had to move all of the furniture, take everything off the walls, every single picture, every single piece of decor all around the house. We had to clean behind the furniture. I had to clean the baseboards. They were really dusty and dirty. So after all of that, we had the carpenters come in because we also had some woodwork done, wainscoting, crown molding, some casing around some of the room entryways. They did a great job. We had these 2 carpenters here for about a day and a half. And then we had the painters come in behind them, and they then took about 2 or 3 days just to prep the walls. They really dedicated a lot of the time to wall prep, which I think is one of the biggest things when it comes to painting. They fixed nail pops. So this is a somewhat new construction house. It's 6 years old at this point. It's settled. So we do have a decent amount of nail pops. That was my biggest thing to fix prior to painting. They also taped any types of cracks or issues with the drywall, spackled, sanded everything, really flattened the walls down, which makes a huge difference when it comes to paint. So while they were doing this, we had to pick out the paint colors. We tried picking them out a week or 2 prior, but we took forever and kept procrastinating. And then eventually we finally went to Sherwin-Williams to pick out the colors. We ended up going with emerald paint, kind of the creme de la creme, the top of the line paint from them. Anyway, we ended up picking about 30 colors, all very similar shades, between blues, greens, neutral colors like tans and grays. So I ended up narrowing down to the top 5 of each color that we wanted, and then taping the swatches to the wall. And as the day went on, I would take a look and take a peek and see how that color looked. And it's amazing how much light affects the color, whether it's artificial light from the room or ambient natural light coming in from the windows. The color was drastically changed when we put the swatches in those specific rooms. So after dealing with that for multiple days, I gave the painters all of the colors at that point, except one, which was the hallway. So after they prepped, after the woodwork was done, they then finally started painting. That took, probably 3 days itself, from the ceiling to the trim to the walls, then the baseboards. While they were doing all of this, the worst part was having no office for a week. I had a makeshift desk set up in my guest room, which is why I couldn't do RAWtalk, because my microphone was in my actual office, pushed to the center of the room, draped with drop cloths and painter's plastic and stuff like that. But yeah, working out of that guest room on this tiny little 3-foot desk was rough, because I was crammed in there with everything else from my house, like everything else, all my wall decor, extra furniture, stuff that I couldn't fit in the rooms that I had to clear for the painters. I ended up shoving in this room, kind of like a closet, like you would just shove stuff in there when people come over. It was very much like that. So it ended up being tough to work out of that room. So they are officially done. We are now at the process where we're putting stuff back on the walls. We moved most of the furniture back. Still have to wait for some of the things like mirrors and stuff like that. It is a 3 to 4 week curing process for the paint. And I try to give it a week until I put some of the stuff back on the walls. But now we are deep cleaning stuff that we haven't cleaned in quite some time, like the windows, the blinds, the areas of the rug that we couldn't get to because a bed frame was there or something like that. So we are still putting the house back together, but it's all done and everything looks so much better. It's amazing what just a couple coats of paint on the wall does to a house.
Didn't they screw up once and you were at the studio and you were looking at your cameras saying they're not supposed to be painting here?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we didn't have that color picked out just yet, and I was working with you at the factory that Monday because we had to film some stuff before you flew out. I initially planned on staying home that entire week that they were painting because I didn't want something like this to happen. And it's exactly what did happen. I was with you checking my cameras. I see that they're painting upstairs and I'm like, why are they painting the hallway? We didn't give them that specific color just yet. It was the only color we didn't give them. And what they ended up doing was matching the hallways upstairs and downstairs. In hindsight, in the end, wasn't that big of a deal. It doesn't look bad. It looks good enough. I'm okay with it. I didn't make them redo it. I'm just like, you know what? It's fine. A lot of people will end up matching the hallways upstairs and downstairs because it's the safe, obvious choice. But I will say I was definitely annoyed when I first came home because I specifically gave them instructions that morning to not do the upstairs hallway. Again, that's why I wanted to be home, to make sure something like that didn't happen, or they didn't paint another room a different color or whatever. There's a million things that could go wrong.
Well, that's good. If I ever need painting,
Yeah.
I just send Steven to do things because Steven will do all the research. I don't do much. I'm like, Steven just goes and interviews like 12 people.
Well, so actually this time around, I was not going to do that. I got Hannah's room, the nursery, painted about a year and a half ago, last minute from a local painter, and I really liked his work, and I was going to go with him for the whole house, and I got the quote back, and it was insane. I'm talking like double what I expected. So he kind of forced me to get other quotes and estimates. I ended up checking out 3 other local painters, and they were all pretty much similarly priced. Maybe $500 to $1,000 difference between some of them. But for the most part, they were in that same ballpark, which is what I expected, that number. And again, the initial guy was double. So I just don't know if he just didn't want the job or what was going on. But he was texting me and he's like, well, we can take some stuff off the list and bring the number down. And I'm like, no, you can maybe come down like $10,000 because it's insane what you just quoted me at.
Yeah, it's tough when they're so different.
Yeah, so I knew what the price should be at because, again, the other painters clearly all came in at around the same price, and I ended up going with the one mainly because of the Google reviews were at like 99% 5-star positive ratings, and he stayed for close to an hour for the initial quote. He went through everything, the entire process. He asked me if I had any questions. He answered all of my questions on the spot, sent the quote almost right away. It was great. I mean, talk about a salesman right there. He really hit it out of the park. Where the other guy, one of the guys I got a quote from, came in for 5 minutes, looked around, gave me a general price and left and didn't tell me anything. I was like, do you need to take pictures or measurements or tell me what the process is like? Like, are you guys doing prep work? Are you simply painting? What's going on? What type of paint do you prefer? Nothing. All you have to do is talk to your customer and they will most likely hire you.
Exactly. Moving on. Well, I'm glad that got done. I'm glad you got your paint done.
I'm glad that I finally have my office back. It's time to actually put some pictures up for once, because I do take pictures a lot and I have nothing on my walls in here. And I have a lot of great pictures from over the years. So it'll be cool to finally deck this place out and make it feel like a cozy home office.
Well, speaking of pictures, you ended up with a new camera in the mail the other day. You want to talk about that?
I finally got the Fuji X100RF, a camera that I've had my eyes on pretty much since it got announced and since we reviewed it.
And why did you want the camera?
I just wanted something smaller, something more compact, something I can quickly grab. It's better than an iPhone. I didn't want to lug around a giant mirrorless camera with a huge set of lenses, mainly a camera for quick family photos.
You could have just taken an R8, bro. An R8 with a like a 35-1.4 on there.
I could. Yeah, I could, but I also wanted something where it's kind of good to go right out of camera, like baked in JPEGs with the Fuji simulations. No, seriously, I want something quick that I can post to my family group chat, not have to load it in Lightroom, edit the raw file, send it to my phone, and then upload it. I want something super quick, and this kind of lets me do that. I want to take more like snapshot memories opposed to like cinematic photos. You know what I mean? I want just a quick camera I can grab, take a couple pictures and call it a day. But I also want something better than my phone because the iPhone is tough, obviously, with low light and struggles in those types of environments. So a camera like this really shines and it's good enough. And it also doesn't break the bank. It's $1,600, right?
I enjoyed using that camera. Just when you start to use the camera for what it is, you start to, you get used to the quirks and features, and you start making it work for you.
And the other thing is, I didn't want to have to worry about changing lenses. I wanted something somewhat wide, and I think a 35 mil, like an f3 equivalent is what this is perfect for pictures like that. Because right now we were using a 50 mil for most pictures, and it was just way too tight. So a 35...
50's too tight,
50's way too tight, correct.
And 28, I don't like 28. I like 35.
I like 35 too. I like 35, and like I said, this is about a f3 equivalent on an APS-C sensor, so it gives you some nice depth, some nice blur in these photos, and I'm usually shooting wide open, and the focus is pretty good for the human and eye detection.
It's much better than it initially was. I was
better.
fine with that camera.
Because the initial one was more like that contrast detect focus, and this seems more. It reminds me of a standard mirrorless camera, like an R6, R5, anything but Nikon. What?
Oh, yeah.
Kidding. Now, I will say, after using this for literally just a few days, I do not love the ergonomics, especially because I put this.
Oh no, the ergonomics. Who didn't know that was going to be a problem?
Of course, but I ended up buying a third-party Tilta grip on here, which looks awesome, by the way. But it's such an awkward feel because the shutter is that rangefinder style on the top of the camera. So you're almost moving your entire index finger to hit the shutter every time, where the shutter lays usually on top of the grip on most of the mirrorless cameras these days. So it's just takes some muscle memory to get used to that. Also, the EVF obviously is insanely tiny off to the left, like I said, rangefinder style. And it's not the brightest, clearest EVF, but it's good enough. And I find myself honestly using the screen a lot of times because I'm quickly grabbing it and taking a snapshot of my daughter.
If I ever see you do that, Steven, I will shame you. I will shame you.
Snapshot memories.
Shame.
I'm literally trying to capture a moment in time like that without even thinking about it.
Shame.
I do get the look and appeal to a camera like this because, again, it looks super sexy. It's great. Ergonomic wise, definitely sucks. I'm way more used to the professional line of mirrorless cameras. That makes more sense in my opinion. There's a couple quirks to this camera too. Like I remember looking for human detection in the subject detection area, and it's a whole separate focus mode. Like you can't, you have to,
I screwed that up too.
Yeah. It's like, why isn't human with the other ones? So that's a little odd. I almost think there's too much customization too. And there's a lot of hidden features like, long press to enable the ND filter, long press for the button customization, a lot of hidden tweaks that I had to figure out and read the manual for. When it comes to the dials and all of that, everything's locked in and I'm simply using it like I normally would with a mirrorless camera where I'm not actually like pulling the dial up, rotating to get the correct shutter speed or anything like that. It takes way too much time. I'm missing moments if that happens. I get why people like it, but like it's not for me personally.
No, it's not for me. I just like changing everything myself. But I kept that camera set to one shot just so that I could take a picture and move on and take another picture. Now, speaking of taking pictures, I have both of those wide lux cameras. I've got for those who don't know, if you look up wide lux or you go to Jeff Bridges' website, yes, the actual actor Jeff Bridges,
the dude,
is known for using a wide lux 35 millimeter camera. The way that this camera works is it has a turret on the front that moves. It rotates. So it starts on the left and rotates to the right or vice versa as it exposes film to like 142 to 150 degrees of an image. So it's kind of like a pano. You get 20 shots on a 36 roll of 35 millimeter film. On a medium format camera, because I also have the medium format one, which I can find no information on because I have no idea how many they actually made, that you get 6 shots on a roll of 120. So literally only 6 photos. And so I've been testing it out. I made some not loading errors, but winding errors with the 120. And I just was sent the scans this morning that my friend did for me because she's developing the color, she's developing the black and white. And I haven't looked at them yet, but I did see the negatives last night. The exposures are there. I still have some double exposures, and then with the 120, I still have some winding issues where I'm winding it too far, which means that when I think I'm at 6, I'm actually taking pictures of nothing, or I have double exposed a few, which is frustratingly annoying because the portrait that she showed me, I actually did a portrait of my buddy Greg, and he's actually in focus, and for some reason, it's a double exposure. Maybe it's still usable, but I'm still learning. It's all practice for the baseball season. Is what I'm doing with this.
I mean, the good thing is with film, I feel like you can make a ton of mistakes and it's still considered artsy.
I don't want those mistakes. I don't want to be that douchebag.
Sure, I get it, but you can get away with a lot more with a film camera, I feel like, especially something like a medium format.
I want to do what I did with my 4x5. I'm getting it right. Like I talked to Peter McKinnon and he has the medium format one and he said he took a roll and not one was in focus. First roll of it, I had a bunch of double exposures, but I had stuff that was in focus. It's a quirky system because you have to change the aperture inside, like basically inside the turret. If your finger is too thick, you could never do it.
Yeah, if you have big hands, there's absolutely no way you're changing that aperture.
So I get my thumb in there, my finger in there to change that. And then on the other side of that, you have the distance, and it's in meters, and the closest distance is 1 meter, which is 3 feet. And I've learned what 3 feet is, Stephen. Here, I'm going to demonstrate for you how I know what 3 feet is. Can you please explain this to everybody?
Okay. Oh, Jared just tapped his heart, and now he's holding his right hand out. Oh, no, way too high, dude. You're getting a lot
That angle?
Elon on me here.
Yeah. So I've discovered my friend was doing this. She was showing me what 3 feet look like. And she was holding her arm out. I'm like, do you want to check the angle of your arm?
That you can't not go that fast and be that diagonal with your hand arm.
So then I'm like, let me get the tape measure. So I measured from my shoulder to my fist. It was 28 inches. So I need another 8 inches. And now I know what 1 meter is. So I know for portraits I can get to fist plus 8. Right? It's fist plus 8, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 30. It's 36 inches. And so that was very helpful for that. But then the longest is like 10 meters. So that's 30 feet. And then beyond that, it's infinity. So I'm waiting. She said that like 4 out of 5 were in focus. So that means I'm thinking properly. And Peter McKinnon's wrong. Now, I don't know. He said that he gave up on doing it because everything he took was back focused.
So I actually got to hold and use this camera last week before you left.
The 35 millimeter one.
And I held the medium format one as well, but I only used, the 35 mil one. And I will say, again, talking about ergonomics, that was incredibly tough just to handhold because you can't have your palm of your hands or anything showing on the side in the front of the camera because the actual turret will actually expose for your hand too. Like it will take the picture of your hands at the edge of the frame. That's how incredibly wide. Is it 180 degrees or
no,
a little less?
It's 142 or 150.
See, I don't know how it's not 180 because it's a flat, straight body and it will get your fingers in if they're on the side.
Well, you have to understand that the film is curved in the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's curved. It's on a curve. It's not flat on the back. So that's how that's the angle. It's pretty cool. But what I can equate how you hold it is, how you see people hold cell phones with their fingers up top and on the bottom?
Yep.
It's basically holding it like that and trying to expose that way. Oh, wait. Another quirk is if you wind the shutter of the 35 millimeter one and you didn't change the shutter speed, you're locked to that shutter speed for that image. You can't change the shutter speed after you wind it. But I also don't want to not wind it after I take a picture just in case, like if I go to another location, because then I might forget that I didn't wind it and then I might end up with a double exposure.
So I found that the 35 wasn't that bad to hold. Like I could still do it because it is a smaller camera, maybe a little bigger than your phone. But the medium format one is massive. And it's like, how do you even hold it properly without getting, again, your palms or fingers in the frame? And you almost feel like you're going to drop it because it's so heavy on top of that too. It's just a very awkward, hard camera to hold and use. And I understand why it was such a niche camera that really didn't sell. But it's super cool.
They were called Panon, Panon, Panon. They were a Japanese company who obviously wanted to get a play on some company called Nikon. So anyway, I'm going to try and break that out here in Reno because with bowlers, it could be really cool with the wideness of the lane, but I'm here to shoot video, so I have to also do that.
I mean, it makes for a great pairing with the 4x5 because the 4x5 you're kind of limited to more of that medium 35-50 mil range, right? In terms of the field of view, where this you can get that ultra wide and mix it in with the 4x5 rangefinder shots and really have some cool film aesthetics to the photographs.
So my idea is 4x5 is for mostly, the quick, for portraits that aren't quick, that they're set up. But I also don't want to mess up my brain where I'm like doing the 4x5, but then being like, well, let me grab this camera for a portrait too. But I could. So I'm going to use the medium format for the portrait most likely because I think it's really impressive. And that's another thing. You talk about looks of the Fuji camera, looks of me using this wide lux medium format. Yeah, that's going to make an impression.
And I think the wide lux too is more, the medium format one at least, is more of a tripod camera because again, you're really getting you're risking getting your fingers in the shot for most of that. And it's just such an awkward one to hold.
I'll be hand holding it unless...
Really?
Yeah, unless I'm shooting the stadium. We'll have plenty of light because it's a stadium.
Sure, yeah. No, I think hand holding it's fine. You can do it, but it's just such an awkward camera to hold that I think a tripod makes more sense.
The other thing is my 4x5 will be on the tripod, and I'm not
Of
taking
course, you would need
multiple
a
tripods.
separate. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Speaking of Fuji, are you a little upset today that Fuji came out with a different camera?
So I knew this was coming out. I knew it was rumored for quite some time. I knew they were coming out with a medium format.
Well, let me just specify that we had no warning from Fuji. We were not in Prague like some other people were. We were not given a pre-production camera like the 40 other people that were given a camera to play with. We have 0.0.0 I did get a press release from Fuji when it was announced.
That's a
and I
first.
did reply back while I was sleeping at 4 a.m. with, it's a fucking disgrace that you guys are still blackballing us. And we will continue to be blacklisted because I say shit like that in emails. But it's
doesn't
Japan
help.
that has it. But that's to the USA. It's Japan. I'm like, it's 10 fucking years. You know what you say after 10 fucking years, Steven?
10 years.
No. I was in like second grade.
No, that's 8 years you're talking about.
Oh.
That was like 8 years ago. People don't
People
forget. Super bad. So yeah, I saw that it was rumored. I saw the leaked pictures of the camera, which looks just like, for the most part, the X100 series. So essentially, this is that 100 megapixel GFX sensor, the 102 megapixel medium format GFX sensor in an RX100 style rangefinder body. I wasn't really upset because I knew it would be an insanely priced camera, which it is. It's $4,900. I was looking for something.
That's reasonable, Steven.
I was looking for something under $2,000 that I can take snapshots of my daughter with, that I can run around with, not really worry about if I ding it around. Not a medium format camera sensor. Now, if this was a $2,000 camera, even $3,000, I would have been a little more upset after buying the RX100 Mark VI.
I know not much about it because, like I said, when it was announced, I was sleeping over here, and I did read up. There's really not much to know about it other than it had a 28 millimeter equivalent f4 lens is the equivalent. So it has a 35 millimeter lens, but on medium format, it's actually a 28 millimeter focal length in full frame senses. So you're getting like a 28 millimeter, which I don't like 28 as much as 35. And it's the equivalent of an f4, which I don't really care. It's a point and shoot. And when you're using a larger format sensor, f4 is
It's like a 3.2, 3.5. Yeah.
It's literally an RX100 6 just blown up just a little bit.
Honestly, I'd rather take the RX100 lens because that is a 35 mil f3 equivalent for the most part, where this is a 28 mil f3. 235, something like that. Not that it really matters that much, but it is a nice looking body. Again, almost mimics the RX100 Mark VI to a T. There's a couple new buttons and features on it. It looks like it has more of a deeper grip than the RX100 series, which is always welcomed. But yeah, it marries the GFX100 to the 102 megapixel sensor with that RX100 body. And it takes the, 16-bit images too in one shot, I believe. So
yeah, I would say that the medium format GFX100 2 is a fun camera, and I think it would be really good to use for copy negatives, right? Taking copy prints or photographing old negatives or new negatives is to use the 102 megapixel with the better sensor or the better lenses. Now, keep in mind that it's not true medium format. It's like a cropped medium format, but it's not true, but it's still better, in my opinion, not better, but bigger than full frame.
Yeah, it's exactly what you just said, in between full frame and a true medium format. Personally, I would have rather taken a full frame option, a full frame RX100 Mark VI over a medium format to make it, one, more affordable, to make it like $3,000, $3,500, make it like the Sony RX1R line, where they gave it that 35 f2 lens, I believe, and that was a full frame sensor. I want something like that doesn't break the bank. It's a little better than APS-C, like the X100 series, but it's not $5,000.
I don't know. I think it's cool as shit. I think it's something that I would personally...
It is, don't get me wrong, but I think it's an incredibly niche camera and very
100%.
limiting.
I mean, it's like a Leica shooter. Now make a decision. Do you want to spend, how much is a Q3? Is a Q3 like $8,000, right? Like a Q3 is $8,000, a Q3 43 or whatever.
It's $6,300. Oh, the 43 is $6,900.
Right. It's a $7,000 camera versus a $4,899 camera. And that's medium format that I rather have. I would love to carry around a camera like this. This is a camera I would take to travel, take to Paris, just enjoy photographing, because it's kind of like, I take an R8 with a fixed lens on the front of it and call it a day. I think it would be really cool. Now, with that being said, the only way I will get one to test is I'll have to reach out to B&H. B&H they're the ones who sent me the medium format Fuji that I took to baseball. I never ended up making the full review of it because they released a new camera at the same time I was playing with that.
Yeah.
But I was really happy with that shooting baseball because, the quality and the colors and the tones and the size of the files, like you were getting some really nice results. I really wish Fuji would actually talk to us about doing stuff, because it's kind of frustrating to watch 40 other people, mostly no-name YouTube channels, jerk off all over these cameras because they're getting shit. I just want to use it in the real world. And I mean, literally, I would take that camera somewhere and make a video with it like I did with the 300 to 600.
I mean, like you did with the X100 Mark VI. The X100 VI is a 25-minute review that we did last year that has over 136,000 views at this point, and I thought it was a very, very positive review. It was very much in Fuji's favor, but clearly they're not seeing these videos.
They are seeing the videos because I sent it to them, but we're also not in the business of trying to be in the good graces of a company and be afraid to say something, especially when something isn't even that big of a deal. If a company can't handle it, they can do whatever they want, right? They can be butthurt for 10 freaking years at this point, which is what they are. But look, if I want to choose to review it, I can get one from B&H, borrow it, and send it back, because that's what B&H does for reviewers. They're very good with that. I mean, I'm sure Brandon would do the same thing at Alan's Camera. It's a little tougher for him to take a new camera and then sell it as used. It's much easier for B&H to go ahead and do that because they've got, super deep pockets and large inventory. But no, that's a type of thing that I would take around and be very happy to do, because I like going around and trying and being locked into a box for certain restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, you would review it knowing the restrictions and knowing who this type of camera is for, not going and shooting a baseball game trying to shoot high frame rates or something like that. You know what I mean? It's more
100%.
of an everyday street style rangefinder camera, in my opinion. It is interesting, too, that this is the first GFX with a leaf shutter now, just like the RX100 series. So you do have that unlimited flash sync. The one issue with this camera, though, is that there is no IBIS like the RX100 line. So that's a little bit of an issue, especially because it's a medium format type sensor. That IBIS would greatly help. And the irony that it is a rangefinder style body and it doesn't have a viewfinder built in. It has just the EVF option, unlike...
Totally fine.
I have that. Obviously, I have the hybrid rangefinder style or EVF option on the RX100 series, but I strictly just use the EVF. That's it. I tried with the rangefinder style, the overlay, and it's not my cup of tea. Can't do it. And if you want this camera, order it now, because just like the RX100 series, it will be back ordered forever. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Call Alan's Camera, see if they can put you on the list for it. They don't ever know how many they'll get in, and it seems like Fuji will be behind with this one as well. Even though they said, from what I saw at 4 a.m. when I woke up, that people were reviewing production models that had pre-production firmware. So the hardware is all complete,
Sure.
but the firmware is still being tweaked. But usually we call those reviews at this point. That's normal. Last 2 things we need to move on to, because I have to get to my call time. I have to prep my gear and get ready to go shoot. But there were 2 teasers that came out. Sony put out a teaser and Canon put out a teaser. Can you go into what the Sony teaser is?
Well, there's not much to go into. The Sony teaser is just a silhouetted look at a camera, some parts on a new camera system, and it's rumored to be the Sony Venice Extension Mini that will come out March 26th.
Okay, so like a Alexa Mini or something.
No. I think this is an actual extension to the Venice Brain, the body of the camera. It essentially adds like a cable to where the sensor would be and then attaches to this little extension system that houses the sensor and the mount, which then you can basically put anywhere, like smaller spaces, stuff like that. So you're still using the quality of the Venice, but able to mount it and put the camera in these weird, awkward places. And this seems like it's obviously smaller than what is out on the market now because it's called a Mini. Now, I will say I originally thought this was an FX6 teaser because the FX6 is getting long in the tooth at this point, but all signs point to this Venice extension Mini system.
That's cool. And the Canon teaser?
And the Canon, which also is rumored, not rumored, officially announced that it will be coming out March 26th via Canon USA's latest post, which was about the upcoming V series cameras, it looks like. There are two cameras in this image, this teaser image. One is clearly the V1. We know that already. That's been announced. But Canon USA has not technically announced this camera just yet, but they showed that camera off. And then there's something that is silhouetted, which I'm assuming is going to be that long-rumored R50V or whatever Canon Rumors is saying, which is essentially an R50 body, but video-centric.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, it's pretty obvious what they are when they're showing you that, but it's a matter of what the specs are and then how does it work and what does it do and do we like it? That's what we'll have to get to.
V for Canon usually means vlogging or like kind of dumbed down video. Like their V1, their V10, that piece of crap flip like camera that you used before.
Yeah, you hate
can't
that.
stand that thing. But that's usually what the V stands for. With Canon, C is typically reserved for their cinema line, like R5C, C70, C100, all those cameras. I think it's going to be more of a dumbed down vlogging type camera that's really just video centric. Now, the issue with the R50 when that came out is that it didn't have IBIS. So I'm curious, is this going to get IBIS or strictly be movie digital IBIS? Because that's typically what Canon does, especially if this is like a cheaper $600-$700 camera. We'll see. It also had cropped 4K 60. Is this going to be the same exact video specs as that R50? Now, it did have full width 4K video up to 30p, and that was oversampled from the 6K sensor, that 24 megapixel sensor. So that's a really nice option for a small little camera like this. And obviously it's going to be an APS-C camera with interchangeable lenses and stuff like that, which is something that I've always wanted versus something like a V1. So we'll see. The R50 was a decent camera for the price point.
Yeah. They obviously want to get into the video world a little bit more and compete on that Sony front. And I'm sure Nikon's working on the same thing. And so when the stuff comes out, when we get information, we'll probably have it in Photo News Fix, because if it's for the 26th, that means that it's for the 26th. That means Photo News Fix will have information to share with you the real deal specs and then my thoughts.
And I'm really curious what Nikon is going to come out with now with owning Red. Are they going to finally introduce some of that red tech into their cameras? The next year or two is going to be really, really interesting for Nikon. And speaking of Nikon, that Viltrox 135-1.8 Lab is now available in the Nikon mount, the Z mount, which is an incredible option for Nikon users because the Nikon 135-1.8, the only 135 you can buy for the Z mount, I believe, is $2,500, I believe, and this is going to be $900. I mean, what a great steal.
You know, I used to be bullish on 135. I liked the 135, but when it comes to portraits, 85. Give me an 85 1.2 over the 135 at this point, and I really find myself not using it. Though in sports situations, a 135 1.8 can be really good for basketball. So can an 85, but it's a limiting lens.
Like I'd rather take an 85 1.2 and a 35 1.2 around than a 50 1.2 and a 135 1.8. Obviously, you need a lot more space for something like a 135, depending what you're taking pictures of, but most likely it's portraits or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, Steven, I got to wrap this up because I have to finish my oatmeal here, or even start my oatmeal and get ready to go on my shoot because I have a call time of 8 o'clock. I have to follow schedules here. It's a real production, Steven.
Man, I wish you were like this at home.
I'm on schedule. We don't have
tell
schedules.
You to do something. I don't feel like doing that. Nah.
Yeah, I don't feel like doing
that. I'm good.
I don't care. Anyway, bowling, Saturday at 3 o'clock, I believe, when you're listening to this. Saturday at 3 is the World Series of Bowling on Fox, Big Fox. So it will be on Fox, and you can tune in and watch it and see if you can spot me like people spotted me yesterday in my purple tank top moving around taking video.
It'll be on ESPN The Ocho.
Nope. It'll be on Big Fox. So, all right, guys, I got to wrap it up. Text us Tell us you got this far on 143 if you've never texted us before. But hey, look, if you're going to say you got this far in 143, then like actually ask a question. Actually, you don't even need to text us anymore. I just did that as a test last week.
Well, the only reason they texted is because there was a prize attached to it. That's why.
Yeah, well, I'm only going to give prizes. I'm not giving prizes. Fuck that. You don't get a prize for doing the thing that you should
There
do.
he
Sign up for my fucking text list, okay? It's so that I can sell shit to you in the future. But when I'm not selling shit to you, anybody who's been on the list for the 2 years that I've had it knows on the text line, I don't push sales ever on there.
You don't push anything, and I think we should at least post some videos here and there that we're really proud of, like send that out as a mass text. But yeah, you really are pretty reserved when it comes to the texting option.
I don't want to be a marketing guru punk who just constantly pushes sales and bullshit. When I'm ready to do that, I'll do that. And I think people appreciate that more. Like, look, I know I got to go, but I signed up for this email. It was a Titan Fitness. I'm looking for a new bench for at home, a workout bench, and you get 10% off if you sign up, right, for your first order. But I wasn't ready to make my order. Next thing you know, you're getting 5-6 emails a day. One of them has re dot whatever, colon. And I'm like, and I emailed it back. I'm like, hey, fuckheads, don't pull this bullshit
I hate that.
of sending a re-email that I never emailed you in the first place. I'm going to fucking get off your email list. You'll get more, like, when I'm ready to buy, I'll buy. I don't need 40 fucking emails a day.
My thing is, people aren't dumb. They clearly see it's some kind of marketing tactic that you're using, and they just ignore it. They'd rather ignore it than interact with it at this point when you're trying to trick them, in my opinion. That's what I do, at least.
Exactly. All right. I got to get out of here, Stephen. Thank you guys very much for listening. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.
Bye.